In the city of Virelia, where golden towers pierced the clouds and glass streets shimmered under a pale sun, a secret festered beneath the surface, a darkness not cast by shadows, but born from within. Kalin Vire, the only son of the city's high architect, lived a life sculpted from wealth, privilege, and crushing expectations. He was brilliant but cold, compassionate yet distant, always walking the edge between honor and obsession. His dreams had long been haunted by something he couldn't name, a whisper behind mirrors, a figure just beyond the reach of light, a presence that breathed with him. As a boy, he would scream awake with claw marks on his chest, though his doors were locked. The physicians called it sleep paralysis, the scholars said it was stress, and the priests blamed demons. But Kalin knew better. He didn't fear the darkness. He was the darkness, or at least some part of him was. The thing inside him, the other as he came to name it, didn't always speak, but when it did, it spoke truths sharper than knives. Truths about his father's manipulations, his mother's disappearances, his lover's betrayals. And each time Kalin listened, something inside him changed. Subtly, almost invisibly. Like shadows thickening beneath the skin. As he grew into a man and took his father's place among Virelia's elite, his darkness grew with him. In the mirror, he saw his smile but not his warmth. In his eyes there was always a flicker too still, too cold. Whispers of corruption followed him, of illegal deals, of missing rivals. But nothing was ever proven. Virelia flourished under his designs, bridges that floated, towers that sang, gardens that bloomed in the dark. Yet beneath the brilliance, something ancient stirred. The underground canals, long sealed off after the War of Sorrows, began to seep black water. People vanished in alleyways. Dreams turned to nightmares. The city whispered of a shadow architect who built not with stone, but with fear. And Kalin began to feel it, truly feel it, for the first time. He could no longer sleep without waking to screams. His hands trembled when drawing. His own designs began to shift without his memory. Walls that curved into spirals, rooms with no exits, windows that looked into other worlds. At night, he would find himself standing in places he didn't remember walking to, atop towers and crypts beside open graves. The other was not just whispering now. It was building. It had learned from him. It had watched. And now it was shaping the world through him. Desperate, Kalin sought answers beyond science, turning to the forbidden libraries below the astral cathedral. There, guarded by flame-eyed monks and veiled witches, he found what he feared most: proof. The other was real, a parasitic echo from a ruined god, a fragment of primordial shadow that sought hosts to rebuild its power. It was bound to bloodlines, passed through dreams, feeding on genius and pain. And Kalin, with all his brilliance and brokenness, was the perfect vessel. There had been others before him, architects, poets, murderers, but none who had embraced it so closely. The monks told him it could be exorcised, but only through destruction. He must burn every structure touched by his hand, erase his legacy, and finally, kill himself at the peak of the city's heart, the zenith spire, which he had built unknowingly as a monument to the darkness within. Kalin refused, not out of pride, but because he realized something terrifying. The city needed him. Without his designs, Virelia would crumble. Without the others' guidance, there would be no innovation. The darkness had not just corrupted the city, it had become the city. Its beauty, its elegance, its impossible perfection. All had been born from the terrible union inside him. Could he really destroy it? Or worse, could he survive it? So he made a choice, not to kill the other, but to merge with it fully, to become the god it sought to rebirth. For weeks he prepared, sacrificing pieces of himself. He locked away memories, buried guilt, swallowed pain until he became hollow enough for the final ritual. The night of convergence came beneath a blood-red moon. Atop the zenith spire, he stood naked to the wind, arms carved with the runes of lost languages, chanting in a tongue that did not belong to men. The sky broke, stars fell, light twisted, into impossible colors. And from the abyss rose the true form of the other, towering, serpentine, crowned with void, speaking not in words, but in screams of forgotten time. It offered him eternity. He offered it form. They merged. In the moment of union, time stopped. Kalen's mind broke and reformed, each fragment becoming an eye, a memory, a law of reality rewritten. He saw Virelia from above, not as streets and buildings, but as veins and bones, a living body pulsing with fear and wonder. He saw himself as both God and man, both creator and destroyer, and he saw the cost. His body remained atop the tower, perfectly still, a statue of obsidian eyes and silver veins. But below, the city changed. The people spoke in unison during sleep. Children drew symbols they had never learned. The rivers flowed backwards. The gardens grew flesh instead of flowers. And the light never touched the same place twice. The city worshipped him now, not by choice, but by instinct. They sang his name without knowing it. They built shrines of bone and glass. They offered their secrets in whispers, thinking them prayers. Kalen watched it all, feeling both triumph and despair. He had become what he feared, and in doing so, freed the other to reshape the world. But somewhere, deep in the cracks of his fractured mind, a final ember of humanity stirred. A question: is this truly what I wanted? The other answered with silence, the kind that roars, and in that silence, Kalen found the truth. The darkness had never been an invader. It had been a mirror. Everything it showed him he had already known. Every shadow it cast had been shaped by his own pain, his hunger, his grief. The monsters weren't from beyond. They were within. And so he chose, one last time, to act not as a god, but as a man. With all the strength he had left, he turned the city inward, folding its structures upon themselves, collapsing the towers into the roots, pulling the sky down like a curtain. The people screamed and prayed, but no voice escaped the rising wind. And at the heart of it all, atop the zenith spire, Kalen opened his chest and ripped the darkness from his soul. It emerged screaming, not with rage, but with fear, for it had never been separated from its host. He cast it into the chasm below, and the world shuddered. Then silence, a silence that was not empty, but peaceful. When the dawn came, Virelia was gone. In its place lay a vast field of white ash, dotted with flowers that pulsed with faint light. Travelers spoke of music in the wind, of dreams that healed, of a voice that whispered not in command, but in kindness. And on clear nights one could see a single obsidian statue standing alone in the center, a man with his hand outstretched, not in warning, but in offering. They called him the Guardian of Shadows, the one who faced the darkness within and chose not to rule it, but to redeem it. And though his name was forgotten, his sacrifice remained, proof that the deepest darkness is not in the world, but in ourselves, and that to defeat it, we must not destroy it, but understand it, and if we are strong enough, transform it into light.